So you search for Google Earth. We're going to open up Google Earth. Now, Google Earth takes a lot of memory and stuff from the computer. So please, like once we've done this, make sure you close it out. So we're going to open it up. We're going to screen capture our picture. Once we have our picture of our house, then we'll be going. I'll show you how we'll start editing it. So we're open up there. We're going to come over and just hit the search for, this case, I'm going to do the school. You would do your address. And then what happens, it's going to zoom in. Now, this is the satellite imaging that Google has put out there. I will point out it's not always up to date. For example, this is our current school, and the school we're in, the new building already, is not completely done in this satellite image. And if you look over, you'll see our old school is still there, which has actually been completely ripped down. So doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be accurate. And I talked, you got to realize that when they're doing the satellite image, Google is sending their satellite around. Well, it's going to end up going over populated areas much more, so they have more updated than more rural areas. If you think about when New York, it's flying over that cycle where we're a little bit more rural. But here's the satellite image. If I close this out on the right-hand side, and I just close it out, it's going to look, so I'm looking straight down on it. I can zoom in or out. If you pinch, it will zoom in or out for you. If you have a mouse, the scroll button will do it too as well. So I'm zooming in or out. I can move up or down on the Google image. Now, I will point something out. If you look over here on the right-hand side, there's this little guy that stands there. If I take this and drag it, it will show Street View. Street View is only done where the car with the camera has driven across. So you can see these blue lines. If I click, if you notice there's no blue lines down on this road, well, that means because whoever the car never drove down that road for that camera. So if I drop my guy on the road, so I'm just going to drop him right on the road, it's going to change the view to Street View. And now I'm actually looking there. And this was taken, the car drew by and took a picture. Again, this is, oh, it has, the Street View has been updated. The Street View is much more updated than the satellite image yet, you can see. So it's because now the new high school is actually gone. And if we jump forward, and that's the new school. So the satellite image doesn't even show that yet. Okay. If you click back on there, you'll come back out of the Street View and you'll see now I'm back zoomed out. So what I would recommend you do is you kind of align over to where your house is, zoom in, kind of center, move and center your house on the screen. Okay. We don't want to be zoomed way in and we don't want to be zoomed so far out. We want to kind of be so that it fills most of the screen in the middle. Once you have that, then you're going to screen capture. If you're using a Chromebook, it's Control Shift, and across the top there's a key with two little lines. You're going to use that. That's Control Shift and that key, and that will screen capture. This one, you can use the snippet tool on a PC. The Mac has screen capture too as well. You click and drag, take a screen capture. Now, when you're doing the screen capture, make sure you're not just screen capturing just the house. You want to make sure that you've screen captured enough of the land around it so that you're not only on just the house. If I click and drag, and then you'll save it, and then you'll have your copy. Then you can close out of Google Earth. I wouldn't recommend having Google Earth open at the same time. So I'm going to close out of Google Earth completely. So if you search SketchUp, and it's the word ketchup with an S in front of it. Now there's a full version that they give, and then there's the web version. We're going to use the web version, but I have to, if you click the SketchUp, the first one, sketchup.com, this is bringing you to the place to go and to buy the whole piece of software. We're not going to do that. So we're not going to use this and collect everything. What we're going to do is when you do SketchUp and you look below, you'll see web. If you click on it, it will open up the web version of it, and you can start modeling. Okay. So once we click on that, it will bring us to the web. This will bring us to start modeling. So if we hit start modeling, now it's going to bring us to, we've got to sign in with our Google or our Apple or our Microsoft. You're going to use your account, sign in, pick your account, and then it will bring you into the web app. The web app is app.sketchup.com. If you don't, you can just type that in completely, app.sketchup.com. The very first time, it's going to bring you to a new screen. So when you first do it, it's going to bring you to the new screen. Now, this is the web app, app.sketchup.com. Now, when you first open up, a couple things, you'll see toolbars on both sides of your screen. If you hold your mouse over the toolbar at any time, it will tell you what it is. Well, it's a erase or a line tool or a push-pull or the orbit tool or the move. Down below, there's 3 little lines. If you click, you can add tools if you're missing a tool. If you look, you have your work area. So you have a blue, a green, and a red axis, okay? The Z, the X, and the Y. You'll also see a guy standing there. He is standard or average person height, okay? The person standing there is 5'9", and the reason you need to know that is so that if you go and build something, you can understand scale. The problem when you work in a 3D world is you can get yourself lost. So I can zoom so far out that I don't know where I'm at, or I could start building something. So I'm going to build a quick shape here, and I'm going to pull it up, and I have the shape, and I'm thinking, oh, that's normal size, but it's really like really giant compared to the size of the person. So having that scale helps. If you get yourself lost, you're so far over somewhere and you're like, I don't know. If you click on the little down arrow, you'll see, or the little 3 dots, you'll see this zoom extents. If you click on it, it will bring you right to the origin point. And the origin point is that right where the X, Y, and Z axis work. The other thing that happens is you can zoom so far in and you can be making an object and you're thinking, oh, I'm doing a really giant object, because if I zoom in enough, there's ways that I wouldn't even know that that was there. The problem is a small object. I'm not really making a big one. And again, if I get lost, if I go and click on the dot and click on the zoom to extent, it will put me in. What also happens with the 3D world is moving in it will get you sometimes a little bit confused. So if you look, I can hit the orbit tool. On the left-hand side, you'll see the orbit tool. It looks like a red arrow with a line through it, a little red circle there. If I click on it, that lets me spin. If you notice, I'm spinning around the origin. So I'm locked on that X, Y, and Z origin point, and I'm spinning around that as I go. So that's one thing. If you look above that, you'll see it looks like a finger with an arrow, a pointing finger with an arrow, red arrow. If I click, lets me go back and forth. That's the pan tool. So because sometimes I want to move over, but I'm not want to be locked to the orbit tool. Okay. Also, zooming, if I go down and click on the arrow, if I click on the zoom tool, that will let me zoom in, zoom out, and whatever I'm pointing towards. So if I click over here and zoom, I'll zoom to that area. If I click on that icon, I'm zooming to that area. So where the mouse is pointed is where I'm zooming towards. Now, there are other tools, and we're going to kind of talk about them as I go and move. But the moving tools, pan and the orbit and the zoom, will help you. Now, I'm going to bring in that screen capture we just did. So I'm going to, on the left-hand side, I'm going to click the 3 little lines that are up there on the left-hand side. I'm going to go down and say, import my device. I'm going to click my device. And then I'm going to go to the downloads folder, and I'm going to grab that picture. And I'm going to say image. And you'll see it's brought in. Now, it wants to snap to one of the axes. It wants to snap to either the green or the red, the X or the Y, or the blue, which is the Z. So you can see, oh, see how it flipped up because it's wanting, that's vertical. What I recommend doing is when you do this, you come in and you click on the corner and you'll see it will say origin. You bring it in and you click on the corner. So it's there. Once you click, it's then going to lock it in place. Now, when you first bring it in, I'll do this again. So 3 little lines, import my device, my device. Don't hit the upgrade. Upgrade is to buy the full version. My device, go find your image, hit image and bring it in, and then lock it in the corner of the X, Y, and Z to the origin. Once you click, it then lets you drag it. And what it's doing is letting you scale it. And you need to realize if I click it in this size, that means that 5'9" person is bigger than that house. So as I drag, the bigger I can drag it, the more likely it's going to fit to scale. So I'm going to, once I let go and click, now it's locked in. So I'm going to use my orbit tool to look straight down. I'm going to zoom out. Okay, so I'm going to use my orbit tool and then I'm going to look straight down on it. So I'm looking straight down on it. I can use my pan tool. I can slide the pan tool, moving it over. So again, I'm looking it down. And why I might do that is I can kind of check the scale. There is a measuring tape on the left-hand side. It looks like a tape measure. If you click on it, you can click on a corner and click on a corner. And in the right side corner of your, down here, you'll see 15 feet by 10 feet. Now, you got to think about the house. Like, what size is it? There's a lot of common things. 10-foot ceilings are usually common in a house. So a house that has 2 stories is going to have one story is 10 foot, another one's 10 foot. And then you have probably 5 feet of material, flooring, or roofing in between. So that tells you your house more likely is going to be 10 and 10, 20 and another 10, so 30. Then you have distances, how long it is. You might talk to your parents about, hey, how big is my house? How wide is my house? And the better you do this, the better off you are. So if I click here and I click here in the corner, just on the house, it's telling me that's 18 feet. So that's probably a little too small. So I'm going to go over here and you'll see this looks like a square with a line through it, it's like a square with a little red arrow. If you click on it to scale, it will let you scale the object. So I've clicked on it. Now you see there are green points on each side. A couple things I would recommend doing is if you grab the middle, you're going to warp it. You're going to stretch it or lengthen it. If you want to keep it scaled so it stays all the same, you're going to go in the corner. Then you can drag a little bit to make it bigger or smaller, depending. And again, I'll go grab the measuring tape. I'll click and go, oh, there's 27 feet. So I'm going to hit scale and I'm going to go up just a little bit more. I might have to zoom out. I might have to go and move my arrows, zoom and hit the scale again to go up a little bit. And now I have my scale. I'm going to hit the save button when I have this. And it's a little bit different because it doesn't automatically save. If you have stuff there before, I'm going to purge that what was there for. That's okay. I'm going to hit SketchUp. And then I can give it a name, house model, and it's going to save it. It's going to save it for me. I'm going to hit save. And now I have the basic to start with. I recommend as you build, just start saving in between. Okay, so now that you have your picture to somewhat scale, so I've kind of measured and made it to somewhat scale. Now I will save, so I have it backed up. Now I can start working on actually designing that structure onto my satellite image. So I'm going to go and grab the orbit tool. I'm going to rotate. So I'm kind of looking down on it a little bit. Now, if I go and grab, and again, holding your mouse over any toolbar will tell you what it is. So if I want to grab the rectangle tool, I click and I'm going to start drawing. Right? Now, the good thing is it's somewhat close to the orientation. It's not quite. You can see the house is at a little bit of an angle. So if I had something, and kids will do this, or you guys will do this all the time, where it's not completely on the right or on the right axis. So we have our house here. What I want to do is I want to take the axis tool and make sure the X, Y, and Z, the X and the Y, the blue and the red and the green are not lined up. So I'm going to go in and find this. It looks axis tool, and it looks like the 3 arrows with a dot in between in each color, blue, green, red. So I'm going to click on that tool. And what it does is it kind of gets you, you can see it gives you a little icon with all 3 lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a corner of the house, click, drag to another corner. Now it's going to want to snap to try to figure out the straight edge itself. So you can see it's trying to snap to this driveway because it thinks it's straight, but I'm going to go just before that. So I'm staying on the house itself. And then I'm going to click, and then I'm going to come back down. I'm going to make an L basically. Okay. So I'll do it again so you can see. So I'm going to go down and grab the axis tool, click a corner, go up and click the other corner, come down and click the other corner, not crisscross, not up here, but down here. And you can see it makes an L. And by doing that, it's lining your axis up to your house. Okay. That way, now when I go and grab my rectangle tool and I start to draw, what you'll actually see is it's drawn that to the basic shape of the house. I will also point out the picture, you can kind of see the shadowing floats over. So it's not 100% perfectly flat. But now, so I have this basic shape here. I've done that. Now I can go grab the push-pull tool, has that little arrow, click on it, and I can drag up. Down in the right-hand corner, you'll see, 23 feet high. So I might say, oh, so my house is a 2-story house. You got 10 feet. And then I go up. So I'm going to say, whatever height I have. Now, again, I'll be able to tell, oh, is this thing the right scale? Do I have it the right scale? What have I done? I'm going to go up. It's not 50 feet. So I'm going to kind of come down in the 30, let's say 25. Close enough. And you can see that. All right. So now I have that. Now you can see I have this other roof pitch and I have the garage. I'm not going to draw these all at the same time. Okay. So I'm going to show you what happens if you draw them all at the same time. So if I go align my axis like I did, and then I turn around and I mark here, right? I've got this and I go, oh, I got this garage too. So I'm going to draw the garage at the same time. The problem with that is when you have that thing, if you go to push pull, you can see they're still 2 separate things because they have a line. I could even go in and grab the erase tool and erase that in between line, and I can go push pull and grab them up. Yeah, there we go, right? The problem is if I'm trying to make a roof, they're still attached. And if we look back at the original, the roofs are going different ways. So the easiest way to start to do this, if you take a basic square, pick a corner, and I stop here. Notice I'm not completing this. Then I'm going to do the garage. I'm going to go the other way, and I'm not going to complete it either. So I'm going to make the box like I have, but notice they're not touching. Okay. Now I'm going to orbit it down a little so you can see that I am pulling it up. I'm going to grab the push-pull tool and pull it up. So I get it to my height. So let's say 25. I can go grab the other box, the garage that I did, and I can do the same thing. I can grab this, pull it up. Now a little trick, if they're different heights, they can be different heights. If they're the same height, you can pull up, and if you reach over and touch the top of the other box, they'll be lined up. So if I touch, now you can see those 2 are lined up. Now, to make a roof, I can draw a pencil midpoint. So you see, and it wants to snap to the grid. It wants to snap to where the line is. So if I'm going across the front fascia here, and you'll see it turns a different color. It goes from endpoint, then it goes to the on the edge, which is like a square, and then it turns like a blue, a teal, and it says midpoint. I'm going to click that and drag. When I get to the other, I click and drag. I've now made a line. I can go do that with the other shape. And notice I'm going the opposite direction. Click, drag a line. Click. Now I've got two lines in the dead middle. I'm not going to grab the push-pull tool. I'm not coming over and, oh, I want to lift my roof. Well, that doesn't work, right? Because I'm only doing one side or the other. I'm going to grab the move tool. Looks like crisscross red arrows. And then if I put it on the line, on that line I just drew, and drag up, okay, it's making a roof. Now I'm going to turn this so you can see it sideways so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm grabbing the move tool, I'm pulling it up. And if I keep that line, again, if I do this, I have a, different shape roof. If I do this, I have a different shape roof. If I go dead middle and I let go, you can see now I've made a roof. And I could play around with the pitch as I want. I'm going to come over here, grab that move tool and do the same thing. Pull up. Now, if I look at it, orbit, and I'm looking sideways at it, you can see, I might say, oh, that's two different heights. One's taller than the other. I might have to play with that to see, okay, is my shapes too big, too tall? I'm going to grab that line again. And you'll see I can try to figure out how tall one is or the other. So now I have my two kind of shapes. If I go grab the push-pull tool, I can grab this and I can shove it into the other object to get my roof. If I had, some people have, multiple roofs, you can kind of see, oh, there's a dormer. That's that crisscross. So you can see I kind of matched that roof. And it kind of looks a little bit like that. You can also see I've done this is a little too wide, okay, in comparison to the shape. And that's the basic on how to raise the roof and drive them into each other. So they look like that. Now my next step is I would color it in. I'd come over here. I'll grab the fill bucket. Now I can just take solid color and say, oh, my house is red. And I can start painting. Remember, you have to do all the sides or it doesn't paint it all in. The other thing I can do is if I go to this little icon, looks like where I click the fill bucket, set of materials, I'm going to go over here and choose from pre-done ones. So if I scroll down, oh, bricks cladding, I could come and say, oh, I have white siding. So you can see I'm white. I'm doing the white side. If you haven't done your scale wrong, those will be giant because the scale will be off. Or, oh, you know what? I got brick on this side and white on that side. And I have some wood cladding. So you can see I've done the siding. You can play with that. Then you can go down and there's different things, carpet, asphalt, glass, mirror, all of that. I can come down to the roofing and okay, I have these types of roof and I can go and again, filling the paint bucket and I'm filling in the roof. I have to go around the whole structure. Now I might have log siding, something that's not there. To do that, all you have to do is go out and search. So I can go out to the internet and find, oh, log siding, here's a picture. So I'm saving that picture. And then I can go to the three little lines and say, import my device, and grab that and say material instead of image. So I'm bringing that in and you'll see I'm going to click on, and you can see it filled it in. So now I have that log siding to match if that's what my house was. And I could do the whole thing that way. Now you can see there's no doors or windows. I could grab a box, click, and put a shape in, or grab a box, click, and say, oh, there's my window, and put a window in. Put windows in. And then I could grab the little mouse tool, click on it, and delete. and say, oh, there's my windows and there's my doors. But it's still not, kind of doesn't look detailed as much. So I want to add some detail. By the way, if you want, you can do other shapes too. If you don't have, you have a roof like that. A couple things you could do. If you had a dormer, you could draw a little box. You could pull it up. Notice I'm touching that line. You can get it close to it. I can grab the pencil mark, draw a pencil midpoint to midpoint, grab my pull, push pull, and yank it up. And then same thing, I can shove it into the roof. And you can see I can have a dormer. If I had a dormer there, I can set that up there if I wanted to. And again, this is fast and quick. And over here, we have a Quonset hut that is a weird shape. So same thing, I'm going to go and take the rectangle tool and draw square on where it is. I'm going to grab the push pull tool and lift it. If I had, I could draw, I could do a little line, another little line, another little line. I can come here, a little line, and I can try to match it if I wanted to. I'm going to do a triangle so you can see the difference. But then I can go grab the push pull tool and you can see, like I could have a barn roof, or if you just had a triangle roof, you could do that. Other thing too, say you had a round, let's Quonset hut's round, I can come down here to the field lines and I can grab the 2-point arc tool and I can click on a corner, click on another line. So see how now I have the arch. And if I click on it, I can grab that push pull tool and shove it out. So I have that weird shape. And again, I can color it in and all of that sort of stuff. I will point out when I made the holes in the thing doors, you can see kind of it's hollow. You're seeing inside of it. You're not seeing it's like a thin wall. If you wanted to, you'd build from inside out if you wanted like a really detailed inside of the rooms and everything. So what if I want a real door window, not just this? Over on the right, it's a 3D warehouse. I can go and click. I can go and click the 3D warehouse and search. So I can say door, and it will search. Now, products or companies are selling these. If I hit models, people have made them. So you might have more choices in models than what companies are offering you. But you can scroll down till you find the door that looks like it. The more detail you are, the better off. You said metal door or wood door. So I'm going to click on this door and download it. So here it is. And you can see to the surface, it's not right to that. One, it's not turned right. So how you turn these things using the move tool, if you grab that surface, it will move it forward or back by that surface. So I'm moving it forward or back by this surface or this surface, whichever one I'm on. If I want to spin it, you'll see on the object, when you hold the mouse, you'll find these little red plus symbols. Whichever one you're on, that's what you're going to spin. So I'm going to go on the top and grab that, and you'll see I'll be able to spin it to line up. Now I'm going to grab the middle. I'm not grabbing where the plus or symbol are, and now I'm putting it where that door is. Let me grab over here so you can see. I would want to check with my orbit tool that I'm not like I'm in the right spot. If it was upside down, I'd have to use the tool to spin it. So you'll see I could grab this and you can see I can spin it. So I can get the angle, whichever surface you're on, that's what you'd get. I'm going to go grab a window. I'm going to go grab the 3D warehouse over here. I click, say window. And again, the more detail the easier it would be on me. I'm going to hit models. And then I'm going to scroll up and down and see which one would I want to grab or use. And there's tons of different types. Again, the more detail I are, the better off I would be. So if I grab, let's say grab this window right here, I'm going to download it. Here, I'm going to put it in Now you can see the hole I made is not kind of exactly right to it. So a lot of times I'll put the windows in and then I'll resize, because you can scale. You can still scale after the fact. So I could do this and scale it to fit the hole better. Now I'm going to have to go grab the move tool. And then I'm going to kind of make sure it's still in. Yeah. So I'm going to go hit the scale button and I'll scale it this way, scale it down. If I waited and put the window in first and then did the little square, it would just be an easier thing on me. And now the other thing too is once you've got your window, you could just duplicate it so you don't have to like reinvent the wheel every time. So if I click on this and I Control C and Control V, I'll get, oh, sorry, I got to click on it. Yeah, I'm going to click on the mouse and just click on it. Control C, Control V, I'll get a copy, you can see. So I can just put it, make it match up. And then I can keep building and building until it gets to be the way I want it to look as we go. Now you can get really even more detailed if you'd like to. So I'm going to hit zoom extent. So I'm kind of zoomed out a little bit. So I'll go back to orange. You can kind of see. So now I'm there a little bit. So you can see there's a car, there's a tractor, there's a porch. If I use the 3D warehouse, and I come over here and I click on it, I can say deck, models, and then I can scroll up and down and look for a deck or something that I would like. So I'm going to say this deck right here. I'm going to click on it, decking, bring it in. And you can see, okay, so I'm going to bring it over here. I might have to do some scaling of it. I might have to go to the scale and grab the corners and kind of make sure it's fitting. I might have to go to the move and move it a little bit, bring it up. You can see I'm bringing it up, bringing it forward. And I play around with its location. Oh, you can see I still got it floating in the air. Now, I will point out, this might not be the right deck for me. So what I mean by that is I might have a deck, but, oh, I don't have that umbrella on my deck or stuff. This is a grouped object. They made it and then they put it all together in groups. So if you click on it, so I'm going to grab the mouse here. If I click on it, and you say I have it chosen, if I right click or control click on it, I can explode it, click off it. And then what that lets me do is they had made this. So I'm going to grab the move tool. Now I'm only, oh, sorry, I'm going to grab off it. Now I'm going to click on this. So I'm only on the umbrella in the table and grab the move tool. I'm going to move it off. So they had grouped, they built this and they grouped it together. So I could delete that and get rid of it. I can also really start getting in. You can see I can start getting into components, say, oh, maybe my stairs went in a different location. I will warn you, once you ungroup, if you start yanking and moving things, you can see I'm going to click on just individual pieces. So sometimes you might want to change it the way you want and then literally highlight it again and then control or right click or control click on it and make it a group again so it stays together. But you can see you can get pretty detailed with how you want the look. It can look pretty accurate depending on how long you want to take. All right, I'm going to go, there's a blue tractor there. So I'm just going to grab a blue tractor. Look at models. Products didn't show anything. I'm going to look at models and just find a tractor. Now you can see, okay, so let's say this first one kind of matches up what's there. I'm going to import it. Now I will point out, the more details you have, the more it gets slower because it's filling things up. It's 3D models. And so here's that tractor. And the same thing. And you can see they kind of made it a really big object. But so now I can put it where that's going to locate. I can scale it as I need to. I can move it where I want to. So I can put it right where that tractor was. Now, if I wanted to change this tractor to a different color, I could explode it and color in. I could explode it and color in and do just exactly what I want. And you can make it as whatever you want in that way. That's going to be up to you on what you want to make yours to be. Now, when you get this, you want to save as you go because it'll be gone if you don't save it. You can download it. Okay, so you can download it. You can download it as an SKP. That is a file, a SketchUp file. So you could download it and then you could open it web and you have access to move things. A PNG is going to be a still shot. If you click it, and the PNG will give you choices of what perspective are you taking the picture of. You could take one of each one and export it to that. You could export it as you can go 3 little lines. You can say export, download. You download as an STL. You could actually download this as a 3D print file that could be brought in. Now, I will point out there's, it's not going to print this bottom piece. It's going to print these 3D objects. And it might have a hard time with stuff floating, things of that nature. But that's the basics. There's tons more advanced. A lot of these objects are out there that are done